LeBron has agreed to a not 1 but 2-year contract, which is really a 1-year contract. I'll explain in a second. $104 million, the max. The max contract to stay with the once proud, now tarnished basketball team, the second team in L.A., the number 2 team. We call it the JV, the junior varsity, the Lakers. Now, the new deal reportedly includes a no-trade clause and a player option, making it a 1-year contract where LeBron can opt out again and then bamboozle more money out of the fragile Laker ownership. Now, my favorite part of this story is LeBron James, I say this in air quotes, agent Rich Paul, who said that the negotiation between him and the Lakers, the deal's been agreed to, they're still discussing the possibility that LeBron James could take about $1 million below the max. The number people, the nerds, the financial people, they get a little chubby. They get all excited over the second apron. You want to stay under the second apron or it rains down sulfur and fire. And so you have more flexibility if you're under the second apron, and that's a big deal. I always try to avoid all aprons. Now, Rich Paul said that this is great. Oh, so good. He said LeBron is, quote, prioritizing a roster improvement, that's the priority while working on his new contract. So let us discuss, what does LeBron James' deal to stay with the Lakers tell us? So I've got Soup Kitchen, Jiminy Cricket, and Case Study. And we'll put all of these things together, and we will walk down the aisle to the refrigerator and grab a late-night snack is what we're going to do. So, LeBron James is embracing the suck. That's what you're doing, right? This is his show. He's the boss. And he is able to somehow to put the whammy on the Laker franchise here. He's been able to commandeer, that's the word I was looking for, commandeer the Lakers away from Jeannie Buss, who's a zombie at this point. LeBron's fingerprints are all over this hot pile of poo. He's not prioritizing wins, as Rich Paul said. He's embracing corruption. This is what happens in corrupt countries. It happens to be a basketball team. You take care of your friends, right? Political favors. You hire your buddy that's a podcaster who has no business coaching your team. Make sure that the company hires your kid, Lee Nepo, and you take care of him as well, right? A little nepotism there, and make sure he gets a guaranteed contract. And LeBron, by his actions, not his words, by his actions, LeBron is announcing to every man, woman, and child that he is perfectly fine at this stage, the twilight of his career, hanging out in the soup kitchen of the NBA. Poverty franchise, media dopes. Now, they'll embrace this. We know how the media dopes are. They've got their purple and gold knee pads out. They do the old purple and gold Haktua. But they will embrace the chicken soup for the soul story of the father-son combo. The dynamic duo. And they'll get all corny about that and they'll get all excited while making excuses or ignoring the Komodo dragon in the room, the Gila monster of a middling roster. Now, speaking of all that, page 2 here, we read that Scrawny Bronny and LeBron, they have it all planned out. The best laid plans of mice men and people that have had hostile takeovers of NBA teams. So LeBron and Scrawny Bronny, the Nepo kid, they are expected to be out together on the court to start the season. First week of the NBA season, with the games more likely than not to pop up on national TV. Scrawny Bronny and LeBron will share the court there the upcoming season. But then there will be a crazy Ivan, a plot twist. Lee Nepo, all right, Lee Nepo will be demoted to the South Bay Lakers. What are these South Bay Lakers? They play west of the 405 in the G League. So why is Bronny James expected to start the season with the Lakers but quickly go to the G League? Well, the first thought I have is because he can't play. That's the first thought. The second thought is it's all about the photo op. It's all about, this is marketing 101. It's warm and fuzzy is what it is. You got Nike on one side, Disney on the other. They can each get their commercial. You bring in Jiminy Cricket. He can hum bars of When You Wish Upon a Star. Right? Makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you as long as your daddy took control of a basketball team. Feel-good moment. Really a rags to riches story. You think about the hardship of Bronny James growing up the son of a billionaire. Must have been difficult. Bronny really pulling himself up from the designer bootstraps to make it in the NBA, and then you fade to black. That's it. Game over. All right, last word here. So we go to a gambling scandal, a follow-up, the unmitigated gall of someone named Jontay Porter. We didn't even know who that was until the scandal broke. He's a former Raptors player. He's been suspended for life. Yeah, he's done in the NBA because he was fixing games. Well, not games, but fixing his own individual games, his own props, because he got himself in a whole lot of trouble with some bookmakers and needed to get out of the hole. So the former Raptors player, Jontay Porter, who's got another brother who's a big star for the Denver Nuggets, but Jontay Porter is expected to plead guilty, not to misdemeanor charges, to felony charges in the big NBA Bafo Sacco betting scandal, which Adam Silver from outside the Milky Way and everyone else would like you to ignore. He has been banned, as we said, for life, Jontay Porter. How big a deal is this, the fact that he's expected to plead guilty? So I actually don't think it's that big a deal. There is a digital paper trail. There's really no getting out of this in the digital world. In the old days, when you bet with your neighborhood bookie, there were ways to avoid these situations. But now with everything digitally and the tentacles that go all over, you can't get out of it, right? And for educational purposes, though, here's what I see in my crystal ball. And I'm never wrong about these things. So Jontay Porter will more likely than not get a plea deal. He will not actually have to do any real jail time. He'll be sentenced to probation. He'll have to walk the line, keep his nose clean, go to gambling rehab, which I believe he's already done, Gamblers Anonymous, and done that. Cowboy Dan, who calls the show during football season, has been there and been through that. Although on this one, is it really a gambling addiction, or is it just he got caught and this is the way to a lighter sentence, and so that's what I'm going to do? Because any good legal counsel would say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you out to like Malibu and put you in some rehab clinic, and then we're going to fall at the mercy of the court. The mercy of the court is what that's the way it goes. But on this one, it is a case study, and it's a case study on what not to do when you're trying to fix games. They used to talk in the old days before they sold out sports about the integrity of the game. They don't really care about that anymore. You know who cares about the integrity of the game? The sports gambling companies. Because they don't mind, and listen, I'm a gambler myself. I did a TV show last year about gambling on the NFL, but they don't mind when you lose your money. But if you win your money, they're going to make sure that everything's kosher, is what they're going to do. And on this one, you have to appreciate the dumb leading the dumber. Because these cats, and he was involved with like 4 or 5 other people that were all involved in this, Jontay Porter. But these guys one of them placed an $80,000 player prop wager on Jontay Porter. An $80,000 wager on a guy who's a fringe nobody. Roster spam. And so these geniuses figured, no one's going to think anything smells funny about this. There's nothing suspicious about betting $80,000 on a player prop on the under. And if you think about it, this was doable, right? If they had used some decorum and not used the criminal mind, if they'd used some decorum and say bet $5,000 and done it every third or fourth game and change up the cadence, if they had done that, and maybe even up to like $10,000, they would have likely gotten away with it. At least a lot longer than they did, but instead they got greedy, and we know what happens. They got slaughtered. And it's fair to say, whoever was behind this, the elevator does not go to the top. It does not.